What is up, y'all, and welcome to another video. If it is your first time stopping by my channel, I am Jeffro, and this is Jeffroz FishKeeping. Thought I'd go a little bit out of my element tonight and do an impromptu live stream and bring on a special guest. I wanted to maybe start bringing some education to my channel this year and start doing some more serious talks and stuff. I've got Jeremy from Sergeant Tank on here with me tonight. What is up, Jeremy?
Hey, thanks so much, buddy, for having me on. I definitely enjoy doing these collaborations. It's definitely an awesome time when you actually can, not only by yourself, try to initiate a conversation, but having, multiple people in there, whether it's 2 people, 3 people, that kind of stuff. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I talk to Jeremy pretty much on a daily basis. He is a wealth of knowledge on. He just knows so much about everything, and he can just nerd out for literally hours, guys. And it's just so interesting to, to listen and to just absorb, because he really does know his stuff on a lot of things. And I just had some questions here to ask. Been hearing a lot of YouTube creators on the platform talking, the last few weeks about, some different questions and concerns moving into 2019. And, I've been the same way. Like I said, today is my, tonight's my 98th live stream of the year. And, I listen to everyone out there, but I usually come to my own conclusions and stuff. But the first thing I want to talk about is live streams. Can they hurt your channel? Can they help your channel? What I see from some people, and they've got, really good points, is, your live stream is good, for some views and for some channel engagement. But after that live stream's over, it's not like a good edited video where it's going to keep on getting views a year from now. And I can believe that statement because, I've got a couple of subscribers that are new to the channel that go back and watch a few of my old live streams, but it's not like YouTube is really pushing that live stream. And, it's not like a good evergreen video. So what are your thoughts on that, Jeremy?
Now, with live streams specifically, gosh, I probably have done over 250 live streams. I mean, that's kind of, for me personally, where I built it off from. And when I started out, it was just enjoying, a lot of times it wasn't really necessarily topic based. So I guess if we just focus on live streams, for instance, it has its pros and cons. I think sometimes it's a misconception that you can't grow a channel off in live streams as far as engagement, but it's how it's done. So as times change and as people's interest in different various topics, so obviously as a content creator, oftentimes you're not just focused on one specific demographic or one specific niche. Our hope is to try to bring in other individuals that may not even be aware of what fish keeping is. Maybe they're into reptiles, maybe they're into another hobby. It could be a number of different things. And if they're landing on your live stream for the very first time, you want to make sure that it's presented in the right manner and that you're professional, just like you would, if you're interviewing somebody or if you're the interviewee for a job position. That's how I would look at it. So you want to make sure that you dress appropriately. You want to make sure that the backgrounds are appropriate. So there's factors there that go into the right image and the right presentation. Again, you want to always set the first tone and the first example, just like you would for a job interview. You don't want to show up to a job interview unprepared. So being prepared, having a topic base is, I feel, and what I've seen just through analytics personally, when I've worked with and I've seen with not only my channel but others, it can have its ups and downs. So one thing that I started doing is, if you want to base your channel off from live streams, kind of mentioned some of those things there, would be not only for topic-based, but you can also always go back and re-upload. And what you can do, and what I've done, and what I've noticed more traction by doing so, is, for instance, in this live stream, using it as an example, since we talked about multiple different topics. Now, let's say you wanted to create a 10-minute video, 8-minute video, to have that hook initially so people know what it is. So you can basically edit it through your editing program. You download it, MP4 file, or through your Creator Studio. So I know for some, this may not make sense, but if you're a content creator, I think you'd be tracking with me. So if you go into your video manager and you do the drop down, you go ahead and download it into an MP4. You can transfer that file over to whatever editing software that you're utilizing, and now you can edit it the way that you wish. And that's what I did for a long time. There's other creators out there, not only in the niche of fish keeping, but especially outside of the niche, that also have done that. So I've tested that, and it kind of can come and go. But if you ask me my honest opinion, having a produced, edited video to go ahead and publish and upload, if that's going to gain more traction over a live stream, I would have to concede to the later of that and say that the produced videos is going to be better for you. And a lot of that is really when you're dealing with an artificial or an AI type of like intelligence system, such as YouTube being probably the largest search engine ever, you know, one of the largest, you have to look at it that way. So dealing kind of from that standpoint and putting it in that perspective of how you're actually going about getting the information out there, how you're ranking your videos. And, you know, when I've talked with individuals before, a lot of times they look at views. So it kind of depends on what you're looking at when it comes to the standpoint of views, or are you looking at from a monetary standpoint? Because I do have I find it hard to believe when people outright say that I'm not in it for the money don't matter. You know, I think at one point or another, we probably have all said, hey, it's not just about the money. But again, you have to be able to sustain and recoup a lot of those costs back into it. And I kind of jumping from place, you know, taking different rabbit trails here. But yeah, I mean, you have to understand YouTube, the back end of it. It can be quite complex. There's definitely things that I don't agree with that actually go against, you know, terms of use and abiding by the policies that are in place. But there's many different tools out there that people can utilize in order to get educated based on if you're really serious about YouTube. I will say people coming into YouTube now is going to be more challenging due to the fact that you know, YouTube is a saturated market. And I'm not saying that in a negative. I'm just trying to point out some of the realities of it. No matter what niche it is, if you're a vlogger, if you're into fish keeping, if you're into do-it-yourself projects, there's a number of different stuff. So you always want to try to perform to the best. If you're a gamer, you know, you want to, if you look at some of the gaming channels, I'm not a gamer, so I can't speak on behalf of that, but if you look at some of the gaming channels, make sure that you stand out. I think good, healthy competition is benefit, but what I've seen, you know, in certain niches and certain communities, if you work together and you do it, go about it the right way, you can ultimately help each other in the end. So
awesome. That's one thing that I am setting as a goal, and I know this is a tough subject to talk about because there's so many analytics out there, but I am making it a personal goal to really dive in and try to learn more about the analytics, so that I can start picking apart different things, because I think you said it best the other day, and I can't really get the exact wording, but and maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was someone else, but basically it's like showing up to a job without your tools, you know.
Yeah, I was mentioning it to you.
Was that you? Was that you?
Yeah.
And you know, that made me feel really dumb. And it's not to say that you made me feel dumb. It was the reality of what you said and how true that is really made me feel dumb. Here I've been doing YouTube hardcore this whole last year, and every time I talk to you about something, you always bring it up. And when I say something about views on this channel, you're like, what's your such and such? And what's your, and I'm like, I don't know, you know, but it really is like showing up to a job without your tools. And those are your tools. Now they are in depth and we're not going to be able to dive into all of them. But one of them that I've been looking at here lately, and I got a question about, is it viewer rate or viewer percentage? What is that? For instance, this one where it's basically the analytic is telling you how long people are watching your videos for. A lot of creators look at that one. I think that one's the average view rate or something like that. If you see, like right now, I think mine is somewhere around 12%, somewhere around in there, or 12 minutes or whatever it is, the 12 number. If you see that, should you start editing your videos to be kind of around that number? So instead of doing an 8-minute video, I might need to do it at a 12-minute video instead.
So of course retention is very important. Now the more retention you have on your video is obviously better. I mean, really it comes down to you know, watch time retention versus, in all honesty, I mean, from if you ask them person A, the person B, the person C, they're all going to give you a different response. And I think it really just comes down to, oftentimes, again, looking at it from a business standpoint, how you would approach it, and you yourself as a viewer, how you perceive when you actually consume and watch content yourself. So you always want to take those factors in. So there's a lot that goes into aspects of retention. Why are people dropping off? I mean, that would take 2 hours just to go in and figure out, okay, you're gonna have to look at your analytics, look at different areas, figure out actually why they're dropping off. Is there something that you're doing personally that just irritates somebody? But for me, you know, to try to get your average view retention up as high as you can, it's important. You know, that tells you people that aren't just showing up and clicking on a video and leaving. So it's very important in order for you to be able to perform better in overall in the algorithm. You know, one thing I can tell a lot of content creators, if you just try to test, if you're noticing a lot of dip, try to get rid of your intros completely. Get right into it. You know, have that hook instantly. So let's say you're titling it how to set up a guppy aquarium. Don't spend 25, 45 seconds going in who you are, what you do. People don't care about that. They want to see what it is that you're setting up. I know from me, my attention span, the reality of it is, if you don't hook me in the first 4 seconds, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to another video. And I would say between 4 and 8 seconds, if you don't instantly catch somebody's attention and keep them engaged, they're going to leave. So there's a lot of importance that goes with it. And people, and again, I'm not talking about people that's showing up all the time. So you want to look at other individuals, your non-subscribers too, of why, you know, are they just showing up here and there, and that's fine. Maybe that's why they're not subscribing. But you just don't want people to subscribe because that's going to hurt you in the long term. That's not going to help you in... there's different analogies I can use for that, but I don't want to go on that rant. Yeah, so I mean, it's important to make sure that you put the best that you can into every video. And I always tease myself, do opposite of what I'm doing. Do as I say, not as I do. Because I know what it is to perform, and what at this point what it would take. Again, yeah. So
yeah, when you and I were having one of our private conversations about talking about the new year and things that I could do and stuff, and you brought up the get rid of intro thing, inside I was going, oh, my intro. But at the same time, you came back with another thing that just totally made sense to me. We're looking for new subscribers for this next year because I'm wanting to grow. You know, I've got another new goal for this next year that's, you know, larger. You know, I'm going to have to get 3 times the amount of subs that I've got right now to get to that goal. And that right there made total sense to me. Like,
not to interrupt you, but I think, and it's not to put you on the spot, but since we're talking about it, I think it was one of those things. Again, I just want to clarify. You know, I hope that it wasn't like coming off the wrong way, but I think it was one of those conversations that you and I had with regard to kind of where your channel, you know, how much time you put into it and where it's at, kind of thing. And that, again, I just want to, like, don't be discouraged from it. Don't focus on the numbers. You know, for my channel, I know the amount of hours and time that I put into my own channel. So take it from somebody that I legit put in hours and time. I mean, money, lots of money into my own channel, whether if it shows through the content or not. And again, if I just was looking at numbers, I would have gave up a long time ago. I would have got discouraged a long time ago. What I stopped focusing on was the numbers. I completely stopped. As long as my channel is growing, be content with it.
Like you said, don't let it consume you, because it will consume you to drive you crazy, yada, yada, yada. But I think some analytics would help me instead of thinking so hard on what to do about an issue that I've got with my channel, where maybe an analytic would have helped me figure it out. And that kind of brings me to another thing that we barely touched on just a little bit ago. And I'm really bad about it. It's in my language when I'm talking about my YouTube channel. It's in my goals. It's one of my main goals. You know, when you're growing your channel, how do you grow your channel? But I guess I'm going to cut to the chase here. And how important do you think that subscriber count really is?
So subscriber count to me is, I'm still, you know, just from being around on YouTube for quite some time without even putting out any content officially, any video content, but just seeing how things have changed. Of course, subscribers essentially is going to bring in the long term, the more subscribers you have, theoretically, the more viewership you're going to have overall. But I think you and I were talking with regard to a video, and it was a point I was trying to make in a constructive way. Just because one has a higher video view doesn't necessarily mean that it's yielding, from a monetary standpoint, a better engagement. So one video has 30,000 plus views, the other one has 8,000 views. One, you know, the smaller one is outperforming from a monetary point of view better. And again, I know that's not directly, but I will tie in here in a second, answering your question. So that has to do with your overall, like your CPMs and so forth. So different countries offer different amounts. Basically, let's say per 1,000 views, you're averaging, hypothetically, just for easy math, let's say $5 through ads and so forth, if it's a monetized video, per 1,000 views. So you can do the math, and that is just a very, very broad and very vague. It's not a direct. That can always change. So again, going to your analytics, understanding what countries are performing more, that kind of thing, can yield a higher CPM over another. And now, as far as subscribers, for me, I would rather have the views and the retention. I don't want people to just subscribe to my channel and never come back. The most important thing to me is to build community, and community engagement is very important. So kind of noting on that, there's a lot of things that people do behind the scenes that are not helping their channel. That I can tell you, you know, that I can just say with the utmost certainty that there's certain things that people try to find loopholes in order to gain more traction. And in the long term, it's going to hurt you, whether that's short term or long term. And so just solely focusing on subscribers, of course, there's not a content creator out there, and I'll be the first one to admit it, that we don't look at our subscriber count. You know, if you lose subscribers, especially if they go through like a YouTube purge or whatever you want to call it, it's a good thing. Don't look at it as a bad thing. There's a lot of spam accounts out there, inactive accounts. People are no longer active. You don't want that because it's not helping you as a content creator. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I think that is great. I don't really have anything else written down on that subject, really. I guess I want to go ahead and thank you, Jeremy, for coming on with me tonight. I had never had a guest before, and I didn't really give you much notice. I think I asked you today, so that really says a lot. But thank you for coming on tonight. You got anything else you want to say before the end here?
No, I mean, I just, continue to stay encouraged in whatever it is that you're doing. I definitely appreciate, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of both of us, the entire community, and for their support, for the moderators that show up, and it's just like something I'm just saying from the bottom of my heart that I appreciate when people are, showing up and doing that. So if I could afford it, I would, I wish I could pay every one of the moderators. I know I've said that before over on my channel, but that would be something cool. So again, I'm just a hobbyist at heart. So
all right, well, thank you very much. I know my moderators have been busy this year. This is my 98th live stream, and I appreciate having Jeremy on for it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I didn't get to talk to you guys a whole lot, but it is what it is. I'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for our Saturday Night Live Hangout stream. Thanks for everyone that came to this, and hopefully you guys have a great rest of the night.